one day I started looking at what's life going to be like a couple years from now? What am I going to do to impact my family? And Mike, you said something the other day that literally, look, I don't want to get all goosey here, but I almost got a tear in my eye. No joke. This is not trying to get views here. It stopped me in my track and I had to fight the tears back.
eXp Realty versus LPT versus Real Broker, the battle of the cloud-based brokerages. Now, this video, for anybody that is considering joining or switching to and from any of these brokerages, this one video is going to be absolutely game-changing for you, because for what I believe is the first time, I bring on Kelly Wheeler, who has actually been at eXp, left to go to Real, achieved success there, left to go to LPT, achieved success there, and then came back to eXp Realty, but most importantly, not under the initial group that he left. And what we're going to do in this video is break down Kelly's entire story, the good, the bad, and the complete honest truth about what it was like to be at each of these brokerages, so that you can make an educated decision based on somebody's experience, an unbiased experience from somebody that has not just went there and didn't plug in and didn't try, but somebody that actually built momentum at each of these brokerages, and he's giving his honest feedback so that he can help you make a decision as to where you should go, because there's not one right answer, but I think this is really going to open your eyes to things that not many people are talking about, or not many people are even being honest about. So, two quick things before we get started. Number one, I will link all of Kelly's YouTube channels and incredible information below, because he does have a channel for production, which he's thrived with, and we've got another video talking about how he attracts clients using YouTube, but he's got a YouTube channel specifically for agents, educating agents on how to scale your business, leveraging modern strategies, but also he's got a playlist solely about his journey at each of these brokerages in even more detail, looking at numbers and things like that. So if you'd like more context above and beyond what we talk about in this insanely deep and valuable interview, then you can click the links in the description. Now, the second thing is I will also link Kelly's calendar below in case you are considering leaving or joining one of these brokerages and would like to talk to him about his firsthand experience at each of them, so that you can make a proper decision. So without further ado, let's bring on Kelly Wheeler and talk about the battle of the cloud-based brokerages, eXp Realty versus Real Broker versus LPT. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another exciting video where today we're going to be sharing a lot of powerful stories to help you make a proper decision as to where you should be positioning yourself to make the most out of your real estate journey. So today I've got on a special guest, Kelly Wheeler, who has been at all the cloud-based brokerages seemingly and has real life experience, because as mentioned in the introduction, there's a lot of people talking about what it's like to be at each brokerage and comparing it to other brokerages based on theory, but not many have actually been at these other brokerages and have had substantial amounts of time to actually see what it's like behind the scenes, to see if it's actually what it's cracked up to be based on the people trying to get you to join. So Kelly, really excited to have you on here to share your experience. You've got an incredible story, and you've also achieved massive success at basically every single one of these brokerages. So what's going on, man?
Well, first of all, thank you for jumping on this with me today, because yes, I do have a story to tell, and I want to make sure that I tell the story, because Mike, at the end of the day, I think my story is a lot of real estate agents. Those watching this right now, you are going to place yourself in my story, because I'm not any different than you guys. And I just have the exceptional ability to be able to share those experiences. And my hope is it's going to help some of you agents get clarity as you're figuring out the next 24 months of your business. That's how I look at my story, Mike. It's a story of, my Australian friends talk about when they go out and they do a walkabout and they go out into the desert and they walk around for a long time till they get, well, I did a 2-year walkabout. And I think there's some powerful things that can be taken from that, where agents are right now as they are contemplating what their future looks like at their current brokerages. So yeah, I'm excited to tell the story.
It's going to be awesome, man. We're going to be diving into all three of the brokerages, eXp Realty, Real Broker, LPT. And but first, let's kind of just set the tone that you're not just an average agent either. I think, you know, the fact that you've actually achieved a wealth of success with your YouTube production, maybe you want to tap into that to just give people this understanding that you're also not maybe an uneducated new agent. You're somebody with experience who's excelled and done a significant amount of volume.
Correct. So real quick, my background, I owned a construction company for years. And in 2009, we knew what happened, right? And the economy fell and people could not afford the products that I was building. So I had to make a shift. Well, thank God I was also a very good marketer. And I ended up working for some large attorney firms, lawyer firms, where I became their VP of marketing. And from that, I transitioned to real estate. A local broker picked me up and really liked what I was doing. And I helped him blow his company up. And I did it not being licensed, right? Along that journey, I became licensed, and I continued with my theme of marketing, because at the end of the day, it's marketing, staying relevant with what's going on. We can't, Mike, we can't do what we did 5 years ago in marketing, right? I mean, that's just common sense. So I'm a student of marketing. I'm a student of educating myself with what's going on with current things that are working. And so I took that and started building my real estate teams. Over the years, we've done tens and dozens and hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. And I took that, and about 7 or 8 years ago, I heard about this new thing called eXp, right? Yeah. And I had a couple influencers that I networked with that got on the phone, like, dude, you got to come check this out. You got to come check this out. And I was like, no way. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm a VP. I make a salary, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then one day I started looking at what's life going to be like a couple years from now, 5, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, right? What am I going to do to impact my family? How can I change my family? And Mike, you said something the other day that literally, look, I don't want to get all goosey here, but I almost got a tear in my eye. No joke. This is not trying to get views here. It stopped me in my track, and I had to fight the tears back. Here's what you said. You started this four plus years ago. And your goal, what was on your board, was to make sure your sister didn't have to work again, to make sure your mom and dad had a house. You wanted to take care of your family. I literally was like, it just threw me in my seat, because it goes down to our why. Yeah. Why are we doing what we're doing? And so back to eXp, I finally joined, and I started building out my social media presence, got my YouTube channel to almost 8,000. At that time, I had the largest workplace group in eXp. Had about 14,000 agents following me on there, dropping massive bombs on how to market, how to direct mail, YouTube, social media, Facebook ads. And that leads me to the next part of our story. And I'll kind of let you bring us in there, because at the end of my time, first time at eXp, there were some things going on mentally that I wasn't understanding. So I'll kind of leave it there and see how this journey goes with us.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think that just really kind of helps people understand that, you know, you're an experienced agent and you've done well. So you're coming here from a perspective of somebody that is doing enough volume to actually fully experience what these brokerages are like. And you have, based on building your YouTube channel, the influence of what it's like when people want to align with you. So that's kind of where people should be future pacing themselves, based on where they will go at these brokerages and what happens when you get there. So I think you kind of segued that perfectly, Kelly. You know, you've been at eXp Realty in the past. A great brokerage again, but not everybody has the same experience. So I'd love for you to kind of touch on, you know, first, what made you decide to leave eXp, and then we can decide and maybe unpack what made you go in the direction of Real Broker.
Sure. So one of the things that I know now, you know, it's interesting, Mike. History gives us a great education.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to go through things. As parents, we don't want our children to suffer what we had to go through to get to where we're at. You know, we can see things along the way that we're like, don't do that. Well, I didn't have that. At the point that I was ready to leave eXp, my mind was in such a state that I was like, there's things that I want to do. And I'm starting to see things on social media where people are talking bad about eXp. I'm seeing agents leaving and talking about this new company. We'll get to that in a minute. And so all of that misinformation, that disinformation, and honestly, some flat out lies started to prevail into my mental thinking, right? And I'll use this word because I just dropped this on my YouTube channel. It perverted my thinking. And the word pervert simply means cloudy thinking. It's the ability to not see things right, but you see things the way you want based on your location. And so here I am towards the end of my time. And guys, I was at eXp for 4.5 years, right? I started buying into some of the grass is greener mentality, right? Okay. And I started thinking about, well, I'm now ready. I built up this social media empire. And by the way, along the way, I built up 4 independent real estate companies where I literally, Mike, I don't have to sell anything to live. So what I'm doing now is another stream of income that I'm literally going to blow up and change some agents' lives along the way. But at that time, I thought the grass was greener. And I started hearing about this company called Real Broker. And I know you're aware of them, yeah, right? Not going to speak bad about Real. There's a lot of great things you can say about Real Broker. But what was being fed to me was, here's a company that's a better eXp, better revenue share, better splits, stocks, blah, blah, blah.
Earlier.
Oh God, get in early, guys, get in early. Yeah. And I'll be dropping content about my experience at Real Mike on my YouTube channel over the next 3 to 4 months. I promise you this, we're not going to get negative. We're not going to talk about any individual. We're going to talk about real life stuff that affected my journey. It literally took me off my journey into a walkabout. And thank God I did it, because now I have perspective and I can help other agents. But I started hearing about Real Broker, Mike, and I bought into, well, the grass is greener. It might be time to exit. Now, there are reasons why I left eXp. One of them was I bought into that mentality that, well, all eXp is they're just recruiters, recruit. That's all they want to do. They don't want to help. Agents don't want to grow. This downline that I'm in, and by the way, the guy that I came under, great guy, great organization. At that time, they were concentrating on building their revenue share. So that's what they were doing. I wasn't there. So that clouded my mind. And so I made the decision. I started buying into, there's not good education at eXp. This is what was being said 2 years ago. They don't have good education. Oh my God, the cloud thing, that's horrible. Your little character that dances and all that's a bunch of bull crap. And you know, at the end of the day, when I left, the thing that I realize now is I realized what I had left, but I didn't back then. And now I have attached strategic value to the things that polluted my brain to say I needed to leave. And so I went ahead and made the switch to from eXp to Real. And that started me on a 9-month journey of really figuring out what's right. Does that make sense, Mike? I know you've heard other agents talk about this.
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense. And I think it's really good to be able to be open about this, because not many people, despite having a similar experience, are vocal about it. And I think this is going to really impact a lot of people who are looking for actual real life experience at each of these brokerages. Because, you know, now I think we'd like to take this in the direction, before we're talking about the next brokerages, you know, what did you actually achieve at Real? Because it's also not like you went to the brokerage and did nothing and then said it's not for me. Like when every time you've gone to a brokerage, you've poured your heart and soul into it and gave it its fair chance. So I'd love to kind of hear a bit of a breakdown or a summary of what it was like there and what you actually achieved.
Okay, so let's talk positive, and then we'll get into some of the things that made me exit after almost 9 months. The positives there was a collaborative community. Agents really wanted to talk with one another. While they did have a workplace, there was this camaraderie, if you will. Agents were excited because it was still kind of a newer thing. When I joined, there was only maybe 4,000 agents, 5,000 agents. In my state of Florida, when I left, we only had 400, which I didn't realize that, and it blew me. I'm like, are you kidding me? But when I went over, I did like the collaboration. They had a really good back office like we have, but their back office was a little bit more interfaced and user-friendly, if you will. The ability to take a look at your revenue share, what you were making very easily for not only that month, but projected for next month. That was, so those kind of statistical things, you know, the charts, the graphs, the back office, all of that, I liked it. I did like the 85-15 opportunity, right? And I like the ability at that point to be able to attract agents. At that point, it was $149 a month, and there was no monthly fee, which I found out really wasn't true, because if you wanted Chime, there's a monthly fee, right?
Yeah.
Now, that's more of the positive. If you want, Mike, we can now kind of go over some specifics, because those are what shaped my ability to exit out.
Yeah.
So
no, I think it's good, because, you know, there's positives and negatives in every brokerage. And I think sometimes people hear these comparisons just making assumption that, you know, it's terrible other places. And we know that's not the truth. But I think, again, the entire goal of this is being able to provide clarity, because as you're alluding to, you know, a lot of people are saying, well, Mike, eXp is 80-20 and Real is 85-15. Well, if you reverse engineer 80-20 with a $16,000 cap and 85-15 with a $12,000 cap,
GCI.
how much does it take to cap? $80,000 GCI. So the ones that are saying that 85-15 is better are basically discounting themselves, believing that they're never going to cap or surpass their cap, right? So when we're talking about people that want to be driven and excel and top producers and build a successful business, it's one and the same. It's 6 half, 1 half a dozen the other, right? So it doesn't really make a difference. And I think, you know, as you're experiencing, early is all relative, right? I know that, you know, and congrats to them. They just made a post that they went from, I think, you know, 4,000 to 12,000 over the last 2 years, 8,000 growth. And that's really great growth. But we also just went from, you know, 40,000 to 89,000 in 3 years, right? So when we look at it, I think it's important to look at these very practically and be able to look at it from facts and data and not assumptions, emotions, and what ifs. So yeah, I'd love to kind of talk about, you know, what maybe didn't go so well there and what made you decide to then look at the kind of final cloud-based brokerage.
Correct. So I'm going to jump into that, but let me say this. My grandpappy used to say, Mike, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, that mofo is a duck.
Yeah.
Right. And so some of the things that I started dwelling on, because at the end of the day, you're only as good as who you hang around with. You know, I've been telling agents on my YouTube channel, you want to be an eagle, go find some friggin' eagles and start learning how to soar.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of agents want to be an eagle, but they're hanging around the chickens and the buzzards, expecting a different result. And that was me. Not saying that there's no eagles at Real. I'm just saying, for me, my mentality was I wanted to do all of this, but I wasn't willing to pay the price. I'm still stuck in the you know, pecking around for bird poop, right? Like my vision was like here, and I needed to be here. And so as I got into my time, and by the way, in the 8.5 months or so at Real, I attracted almost 45 agents.
Yeah.
Right. Again, anytime you've got a new, we call it shiny object syndrome. Anytime, and again, don't take this negative. This is me. It's easier to be very emotional and excited about the thing you're in. And it's easy to attract agents who are going through the things that I was going through at eXp. And so we blew up, and I was starting to see revenue share, right? Oh my God, revenue share coming in. But I had a couple things. Number one, when I left eXp, I did the stupidest thing in the world, Mike, because I bought into the fact that they were an upstart company and their stock was going to go through the roof. I liquidated 100% of my eXp stock and bought Real stock at $2.15 a share, thinking, oh my God, if this goes to $8 or $10 a share, bam.
Yeah.
It dropped to $1.12 my 4th month in. I think it's right around $1.60. I've lost money. I'm ready to switch the stock back to eXp because are you watching what's going on right now with our stock?
Oh yeah.
Mike, come on. Walks like a duck.
Quacks like a duck.
Think about this. It's not us that's bringing that value. It's the outside saying we see value here. So guys, again, let's step out of the emotional. Look what people on the outside that aren't even eXp agents. We're agent owners here, but other sources saying, look, we value this stock, but this one not so. That's not me.
Yeah.
That's the outside saying, don't know about this. So I saw my stock just really take a plummet, and that started making me think, well, what the heck's going on here? If we're all that, everybody said real, better eXp. It's a better model. It's taking an already good model and making it great, right? Well, then why is my stock going in the toilet? So that was one thing I started looking at. I'm like, didn't expect that. Then I started having issues where I was attracting. Now, I don't know if you're a real broker agent, you're listening to this. I'm just telling you what happened to me. I had a couple agents that wanted to join me, and they were in a very good market. And so I went ahead and sent them the link, and they filled out the thing to join. And then, 5 days later, I don't see them showing up anywhere. And so they called me and said, Kelly, what's up with this brokerage you're trying to get us to join? I said, what do you mean? We just got an email that they're asking us to go and join the next county's real estate commission because there's no agent in ours and they don't want to join it. I said, what? Yeah, they want us to go and spend another $600 a year over in Tampa because where we live, there's no agent, so they don't want to join it. So then I had to get on and argue with corporate. And finally, after a couple of days, they relinquished and finally joined that brokerage. So it took 2 weeks, Mike, to get this couple to be able to show up underneath me and start enjoying being a real agent. That was a big no-no for me. Now, Mike, let me ask you something. Have you ever had that happen at eXp? If somebody wanted to join you and corporate said, Mike, have them go join another real estate board because, well, unfortunately, we're not going to join that one just yet. Have you ever had that happen to you?
Never. And we've had agents in some of the quirkiest, smallest, middle of nowhere towns, and it's been seamless, 3 days up and running every time.
Right. Correct. So I saw that, and that was a gut punch. Because I'm looking at, okay, I thought this was the next best thing. I think we're still beta testing. That's what I started thinking. This brokerage is beta testing and they're trying to figure it out. And then I started looking at Inman and looking at the different financials and seeing what's going on. And then all of that started kind of brewing. And guys, let me go back to eXp. The things that I was seeing online, the different formulated the opinion that eXp was not really the best fit for me. And it made me leave. Well, now I have that same situation because I'm still on my walkabout. I'm still walking the desert trying to figure this thing out. And so now I'm seeing all of this stuff and I'm going, and then one day I wake up and I find out, and I'll name this guy's name because this isn't negative. One of the largest eXp teams left, not eXp, real left, Ken Pozak.
Mm-hmm.
He's my competitor, which he doesn't know me, I don't think, but he's in Orlando. So my YouTube channel for the local farm, I'm always fighting, his is like blowing up, right? He leaves. And then he goes on Brandon Mulrennan and talks about his story. And I'm like, what the heck? And then I started seeing other teams leaving. And then I looked in the state of Florida and found out that we only had 400 agents, right? So all of that started making me think, what is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
And then some of my partners started leaving. Now, Mike, one of the things about Wolfpack, you strive to make sure you pour into your downline, into your rev share partners. We do 5+ Zooms a week, and you pour into them strategy, right? I did the same thing. So it wasn't me. They were grass is greener hunting. So that kind of put me in the position, Mike, and then I'll let you kind of steer us where you want to go on this. But that put me in the position of, okay, it's time. And then there were some other things, which I'm not going to talk about because I don't want to get negative. Other things that happened brokerage wide that I saw the writing on the wall that this is not a better eXp. They're in beta test and I just don't see how I'm going to grow, right? So that led me to now the next thing. So I'll let you kind of steer us there.
Yeah, no, I think that's great experience. And again, both great brokerages. I know people at both of them and but when I look at my experience, knowing that eXp is owned, just by essentially the founders of the company and then the agents, whereas, with Real Broker being the majority owned by venture capitalist companies out of, Israel, which brokerage is going to make decisions based on the betterment of the agent? Probably the one that's owned majority by agents. versus the company that's looking at it from an investment perspective of a balance sheet. And I think, that's why we've been seeing a lot of these brokerages make changes, but eXp always making changes for the betterment of the agents. Because I know that Real recently doubled its monthly fees and some of these things that started coming out. Whereas, with eXp, we've been able to give incentives to the agents during these difficult times. So, you had your experience at eXp, maybe weren't with the right alignment and partnerships, started getting clouded, went to Real Broker, where is kind of a lot of people are on a North American scale exploring.
Yeah.
Then birthed out of Florida, LPT. So I think, LPT has been, was your next phase of, that's kind of like the three big cloud-based brokerages, eXp, Real, LPT. Us obviously significantly larger, but they're building momentum. And, you've had this tangible experience at all of them. So, what made you decide, okay, wasn't really jiving with what was happening at Real in the direction that they were going? Why LPT?
Because I'm still on my walkabout, and I'm still looking for the thing that's going to make me do what I want to do, and that's build the revenue share. Guys, I'm being honest with you. I am a builder. I am a multiple stream of income. At that point, I had multiple real estate ventures that were paying me a good income, right? And I'm looking to add. I mean, what business owner is that? And one of the things, Mike, that I love about you, and this is why I'm so glad that I partnered with you guys at the Wolfpack, and you're my partner, is the forward thinking that you project and you help agents to see. Look, do you want to just be as good as your last closing? Or do you want to look at how you can build a real estate empire? Totally up to you. Either way's fine, but one of them will yield a little bit better financial results. That's what I was thinking. And so at Real, I'm like, okay, not what I thought. By the way, let me say this before we talk about LPT. If you are watching this video now and you are at eXp and you're thinking of leaving, please get on our calendar. Let's talk about where you're at, and let's talk about where you might want to go, because I think what'll happen is we'll bring some clarity to you guys. If you're at those other companies and you're feeling my story is your story, get on our calendar and let's talk about firing you back up. Let's talk about getting you back in position to start achieving these goals you want to do, and then help you get rid of the misinformation and, quite honestly, the outright lies that have been spread about eXp Realty. So let's go on to LPT. Here I am at Real, and I'm like, oh my God, I had a dear friend of mine, I'm not going to mention his name, call me up and say, dude, have you heard about LPT? And I actually had, but I didn't know a lot about them. I just heard that they're blowing up all over Florida and a bunch of agents are going there, and oh my God, they offer a hybrid broker and all this stuff. And so one day I decided to go and down the YouTube rabbit hole, Mike. You ever do that?
Oh yeah, we live there.
Okay, and you know what? Listen, agents, you know what I'm talking about. I spoke to an agent yesterday, Mike, that is just absolutely the same situation I was at eXp before I left the first time. And I was able to really fire this agent up. And I talked to you a little bit about this agent and get them all fired up. And they're like, you know what, Kelly, I'm so glad, because they were getting ready to make the switch to LPT. This agent is not on my downline. There's no financial connection, but I have a heart and a compassion to help agents get through this bull crap, right? And to make sound financial decisions for their business. And so here I am. I went down this YouTube rabbit hole and I start watching these videos. Now, back when I joined, they were only in Florida. They were going to open, this was around October of last year. They were going to open Texas at the end of December, and then a couple other states going into January, February, March of this year. So when I joined, they're only in Florida, and they were just about to hit 2,000 agents in Florida. And what I found out was, and let's just be real, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of the agents joining them at that point were agents that had my mentality. They were coming from eXp.
Yep.
And Real started losing agents. So between Real and eXp, agents were flocking over there because they started watching this stuff online going, oh my God, this is the promised land. So here's what happened. I started watching these videos where these influencers were talking about how great this company is and all of the hybrid broker. And we can chat a little bit. I mean, they've got a 100% commissionable plan, and they have an 80-20 rev share plan, and they allow you to switch, right? You can do one or the other. And they were touting about all of these things that they have. And we'll get into that in a minute, but I bought it. I bought it without researching because it was the fire. Mike, I don't know what it is about real estate agents, but when we see a big fire, bunch of agents run, we run right with them. We run right into the fire. We don't take time to figure out, is this fire going to burn the heck out of me? Right? No, it's a fire. We gotta go to the fire. I went to the fire, right? And so I remember telling my wife, because she's like, oh my God, you just left eXp, you went to Real. Because my wife, honestly, she has no problem telling me the truth. And sometimes it pisses me off.
Yeah.
Right? I just pisses me off. Like, come on, honey, jump on this bandwagon. And she's like, no. What are you doing? You just you got 45 partners in 8 months. You're blowing up. Revenue share is coming. Why are you doing this? But baby, it's the thing I've been looking for, right? And so my excitement finally won her over and she left me alone, but she was skeptical. And I don't know what it is, but sometimes, and agents listen to me, you need to seek outside counsel, not a lawyer, but somebody you trust.
Mm-hmm.
And say, listen, I want to share this with you, and I don't want you to tell me what I want to hear. I want you to tell me the truth. I didn't do that. So I watched these influencers. I started hearing about all these amazing things that they say they have, and I made the switch. And I remember the gut punch of me having to put on my YouTube channel. At the time, I had about 7,600 agents talking about, well, guess what? I'm leaving again. Right? It's like, oh my God. There was a slight embarrassment of doing it, but regardless, I then made the move. And now that started me on my next journey. Let me say this, and then I know you've got some questions you want to steer me in this direction. At that company, I was able to, in 8 months, attract almost 80 rev share partners. And the majority of them were not people that followed me from Real. They were new. In the 8.5 months I was there, towards the end, 18 of them left. Not because of me, they left. And I'm like, oh my God. So there I am, Mike. I made the switch. I joined, and help me on this one because I want to make sure I'm going to do this right. What do you think happened next?
Yeah, I have a feeling like it wasn't what it was cracked up to be. And I think, as we see with all these brokerages, knowing that people are getting compensated if they get you to partner, what we see time and time again is that they'll tell you everything you want to hear. They'll sugarcoat everything. You come to the brokerage, you come to the group, and you either don't get any of it, or you don't get a fraction of it, or it's all an upsell. And, I get this all the time. I track it, about 8 to 10 emails, 7 days a week from agents that joined other groups at eXp or other groups at Real or LPT saying, Mike, I was promised this and I didn't get any of it. How can I join your group? Because people know that based on systems and processes, we have it automated. You're guaranteed to get what we offer. And I think I'm hearing all this too. I'm seeing all the people shouting LPT from a mountaintop, and it's all biased information because most of them just went there. They haven't actually been there for a minute. And most of them have a little bit of extra that they've been able to get cut. So, when we start looking at this, your experience, because again, you went from eXp to Real, you built over 40 people at Real. You went from Real to LPT, you built almost 80 people at LPT. And so you're doing well with these brokerages, pouring into them. Most people are going to look at that and say, okay, new brokerage, early adopter, 80 people, building momentum, strong YouTube channel. Why leave? Like what,
Oh.
So let's kind of unpack, that, and then we can talk about your final stop on this walk around.
Yeah. All right. Couple things I want to unpack because I think it's going to help. There are agents that are going to watch this when this drops on YouTube that are at one of those two brokerages, and they might be having the same feeling. Let me say this to you before I unpack the things that made me leave LPT. And I'm going to do it as unnegatively as possible. I want to be real. I want to have a real conversation with you guys. When I went over there, I was attracted off of the influencers that were there at the time putting these videos out. And all of this smoke and mirrors stuff that we're going to talk about attracted me because I thought, oh my God, this is going to be the easiest way for me to attract. And it was. I was starting to get, like, my calendar was booked for the first 4.5 months. Let me say this too. I created some of the most amazing LPT explainer videos on YouTube of any of the influencers. Like my videos were getting thousands of views, theirs were getting hundreds, right? And I was literally taking the information that attracted me to the company and repurposing it and putting it back out there. And my calendar was flooded, right? Now, Mike, I want you to help me with this. I want to make sure that I stay on point here. When I joined, say October-ish of last year, there was a key component that I was not aware of. Okay. Now there are several key components that I want to talk about, but this one I was not aware of. Let me defend the LPT for just a hot minute. It is a small note in their ICA, but Mike, how many agents realistically read the entire ICA? Come on, let's just be real. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. But
very, very few and far between. I think, even when I put my video out about Real versus eXp, it was ICA to ICA, read through both of them in their entirety, and found all of these nuggets that people were not aware of when going to Real Broker. And I think that's one of these things is that we get, again, we're running to the fire. We're so freaking excited about this like new opportunity, new
I'm gonna get rich.
Yep. This is my key to success. And you don't even take, the time to step back and audit it logically and say, okay, what am I actually signing up for here? Like, it's good to have the excitement and the buzz and the energy. Like, that's great. Yeah. But also look at it from a business perspective and make sure you read the ICA, because as you're going to touch on, there's always, and I've seen this at almost every brokerage, fine print somewhere, usually at the end, hidden somewhere, that is not in your favor.
And it's not something that's being publicly promoted in that, because it would literally throw water on that big fire. Yeah. Now, again, LPT put it in there, so my fault, not theirs. The people that I fault were the influencers, which I shall not name. It's irrelevant. You guys go and search. I know a lot of you agents watching this have already watched, and I'm hoping to Jesus that this video will help bring clarity, not for you to call me and jump on the Wolfpack Ninja and partner with me and Mike. I'm hoping, well, yeah, obviously I want that. Let's just be real. But ultimately, I want you guys to have clarity so that you don't have to go on a 2-year walkabout. I want you to take this wisdom and apply it to your life. And if there's value, great. If not, then go do what you're going to do. And you're always welcome to come talk to me. But here's what happened. I repurposed those videos. These influencers are out there talking about key factors that attract agents. Number one, they talk about it's a hybrid broker. It's your brokerage for life. Hybrid means you can come in at the 100% level, right? There are some fees attached to that. We're not going to get into that here. That'll be some other videos. Mike's put some videos out. I'm about to drop some videos on that, but there are fees attached to that. While you can build a revenue share group as a 100%, you can't create income, right? You have to switch to the business builder. Now, Mike, my almost 80 agents that I attracted, do you know that out of those, 4 were 80-20, the rest were 100%. Now, we'll get into that in a minute, right? That means that the majority of the agents underneath me, when they sold something, I made pennies as a business builder. But that wasn't the big bombshell. I was in the company for 4 months before I realized what I'm about to share with you. I remember I was at their Grand Prix event. My partner at the time and I had a table at their Grand Prix event. That was their first company one. Excitement. We're going to, 4,000 agents right now, or 3,500 agents. And we're about to open Texas, or no, Texas is open. We're about to open these others. So I go to this Grand Prix and my partner and I had a table in the lobby with some other big groups, just sharing who we are. And if anybody wanted to join our team, they could. And I'll never forget, at that time, I probably had 25 agent partners. And when you join them, you can't make revenue share anyway for 120 days. There's a rule that 3 months before you make a dime. I was okay with that. I'm like, I don't care. I'm in this thing for the long haul, right? As we're at the table, Mike, and I'm telling you right now, it's like my heart was ripped from my chest. Another agent that I knew at eXp that came over, and they were building a pretty good sized group. We started talking and I'm like, yeah, I'm almost out of my 120 days. I can't wait until I'm out, because I'm ready to start getting revenue share, right? We're building. And I remember the wife of this couple said, and I'm not going to do the accent, she was Spanish. she said, Kelly, have you capped? I said, what do you mean have I? What does that matter? I'm about to make revenue share. No, Kelly. You can't get revenue share till you cap. I said, oh, shut up. I'm thinking she's pulling my chain. And then it dawned on me, and my partner didn't know that. And so we went and sought counsel from one of the corporate guys there. We said, hey, can we pull you aside? And he said, oh, yeah. We're real estate first here. We want our agents all selling. Revenue share is an ancillary. It's there for you to eventually make income. And I was so pissed. Now, I didn't tell him that, but Mike, I was so angry because none of the influencers that I bought into months before shared that. They just said, we have revenue share and ours is better than eXp. Here's why. And so it rocked my world, because now I have to personally go out and cap $15,000 a year in cap for me to be able to get $1 in revenue. Now, Mike, what is the average? Now, remember, I'm not having to, at that point, sell a lot of real estate. I'm getting back into it because I want to prove to my team that my strategies and marketing works. And it did. This year, we've sold a lot of real estate. But what's the average agent across the board? What's the average agent selling right now, Mike? What do you think in a year?
40,000 GCI.
Okay.
45.
Are they going to cap?
Nope.
They will never see revenue share at LPT. If you're watching me right now, make sure you get on my calendar and talk with us, because I'll break it down for you. So that started me on a spiral. I'm like, ugh. So what I had to do at that point was reinvent the wheel. I'm like, well, I guess I'm okay with this. I'm just going to have to go cap really quick. Now, the one caveat they give you is you can take the revenue share that your team makes and go and apply it towards your cap. Well, I'm like, okay, that's great. So I came over to this company so that if I was really crushing it, I could finally get revenue share in 4 or 5 months in a year. That means I'm only going to get revenue share for, maybe 5-6 months out of the year. What about the other months? Well, just go out and sell a bunch of real estate, right? I mean, oh my God. So in February of this year, when I was at that Grand Prix, to me, that was the first nail in the coffin. I remember going home that weekend, Mike, and I was so upset. Went back in and started watching those videos again. And none of them were talking about this. Yep. So there, to me, is misinformation number one.
And I'd love to just, sink that seed a little bit deeper, because, I think a lot of people have an incorrect perspective on revenue share. A lot of people look at revenue share as recruiting. And I'm here to tell you that that's not the truth. So when you look at me, I become the #1 recruiter globally at eXp for personal attraction. I've never recruited anybody. People have been attracted to the value that our group has. But the truth of what revenue share is it's a direct reflection of the value that you are providing agents. Because I don't take a split for anybody that partners with us, but I give everything I've ever created for free and the daily calls to every person that partners with us. So if you join us and I don't help you succeed, I get nothing, but I spend my time. It's a net loss as a business owner. So now we're incentivized to help you scale your production, build your business. And not only that, but people that say they don't care about it don't understand it, because there's a saying that exists: agents never retire, they just expire. Because at the end of your real estate career, after putting all that effort into building your business, when you stop closing, all of that fades into nothing. Whereas when you have revenue share, everything that you've built remains as a part of your journey so that you can retire and still get paid. And I think when people understand the truth that it's all value-based, it's education-based, it's impact-based, they will better understand why people get excited about it, right? If people don't want to join us, I couldn't care less. I know what I'll do for your business. Go join somebody else and you'll see what happens. Yeah. But when you look at this, to join a brokerage that is talking about revenue share being a component of its model, and that you can't get paid for 120 days or 4 months, and then you have to cap with that revenue share or production to even get it, that would decimate a lot of agents' retirement plans, willable security asset for their family, exit strategies. So I think it's good just to seed and help people understand the importance of having that additional income stream so they have the right perspective toward it. Now I'll let you continue.
So let me say this about revenue share, and then we'll hop off that and go to the next couple of things. While I was there, I actually got back into production back in February. Okay. And right now, and primarily, and again, this will be for future trainings, most of that comes from two sources. The majority of that comes from my YouTube channel, not my real estate coaching channel, but the GeoFarm channel, right? The other one comes through direct mail because we do direct mail at a high level. So another concept, another video. So I got back into production because some of my agents like, well, you're not doing much anymore. I'm like, okay, sucker, leapfrog, the ninja's finna show you. So I went out and we've created, and again, I'm still, even though I'm back in production, it's very part-time for me because I have other endeavors. But you know, in just 6 or 7 months, we've done $4 or $5 million in sales. I've got another 3 or 4 million in contracts for new construction, and I get 1 to 2 calls a week now from buyers looking to come into this area from my YouTube channel. So this is sustainable income as far as that portion of it. But Mike, let me drop this on you and then we'll get off rev share. I think at this point, this is the nail in the coffin that finally made me go ahead and interview people at eXp that I wanted to partner with. I looked at my revenue share my last 4 months and I was literally about to cap, which meant I still wasn't getting revenue share. I looked at my revenue share and my last 4 months, my partners sold 48 homes for almost $20 million in sales. Say between 17.9 and 20 million. I don't know the numbers, but it was up there. Do you know how much money was deposited into my bank account off of that volume? 0. I made no revenue share. The only amount of money I made off of that, they attributed almost $4,000 towards my cap. So $4,000 in revenue share off of almost $20 million. Do you know at that same level at eXp, when I saw this, my walkabout now, remember we talked about my journey as a walkabout, I've made the curve now and I'm coming back. I'm getting mental acuity. I'm getting clarity now. I'm like, okay, this is why I went down this dog leg and now I'm coming back and I'm starting to focus in on the real thing. What's going on here? When I saw that, the same volume would have made me $3,000 to $3,500 a month at eXp. So I literally gave away almost $15,000 for the 8 months I was at LPT. Does that make sense, Mike?
It's crazy.
That's wild. Not sustainable. That's not sustainable. So one other thing that happened is I spoke to several, and by the way, again, I'm not naming names, but towards the last 2 months, I spoke to several influencers there that are not happy. One guy I spoke to who is happy, he's not dishappy with him, but it blew me away at the point that where he was at months ago. He was at almost 700 agents on his rev share. His rev share was 10,000 to less than 11,000 a month off of 700 agents, which meant, and he wasn't big into production, which meant as one of the larger teams, it could be 2 to 3 months before he saw a revenue share check. That was no bueno. I was like, oh my God, he got to that much and this is where he's at. So I started realizing that a lot of the stuff I had watched, the big fire, was not really accurate. It bordered on misinformation to the extent that it was made to try and almost like a bait and switch. And I hate to use that term, but that's what I felt like. So now I've got this whole revenue share debacle going on. And by the way, towards the end, I did have meetings with their big high ups about this because I still wanted to stay there, but I wanted to see if there was merit in them listening to me as an influencer. And here's what was told to me. And I'll never forget that when this individual told this to me, I made the decision. I'm going to start looking at who I want to partner with at eXp. They told me, Kelly, after I made this big thing about, I coined the phrase unobtainium. I remember telling the guy, I said to the guy, you ever watch Avatar? When they went to that planet, they were trying to find this mineral called unobtainium, right? I said, I have coined the phrase LPT rev share is unobtainium. Yeah. And he laughed. He thought that was funny. He said, no, Kelly, you're looking at it wrong. He says, let me tell you this. If you came to LPT for revenue share, now guys, this is a big corporate guy. He said, if you came to LPT for revenue share, you came for the wrong reason. We are real estate first. In their mind, that means they want all their agents selling real estate Revenue share is there eventually to help you create additional income. That was it. That was the final nail. I'm like, I'm done. I got to go. And then one other thing, and I'm not going to name the name, another big corporate person called me the day I signed the IC8 to join underneath you and said, oh, I just found out you might be leaving. Could you please not do that? Can I get you on a phone with Robert Palmer? And by the way, I love Robert Palmer. This guy is friggin' amazing. And I think along the way, when they get out of beta testing, they'll probably get some things maybe fixed, right? I don't know. But she said, can I get, and I said, no, I don't want to. She says, well, where are you going? I said, I'm going to eXp. And I even told him who I'm partnering with, right? And here's what this huge corporate person said to me, Mike. And it was like, oh my God. This person said to me, well, Kelly, why are you going there? You have to cap there to get revenue share. Mike, did you hear what I just said?
Yeah.
This is the people that make the decisions on where this company is going, telling me this misinformation. And I was like, I'm done. I'm out of here. Right. And so that was the first thing. And there were 2 or 3 other things. I don't want to really go too much into detail, but it was the stuff that was being taught about education. No, when you look at what eXp Realty, and Mike, I want, if you don't mind, share our education when I'm done with this rant. There really wasn't an education there at LPT. Like, you couldn't log in and get 50 hours a week. And the stuff that I was seeing was being trained by people that were in their 50s or later, which I'm 56. So I'm not banging on old people, but it was like people that didn't sell anything for years, right? And they're telling you how to write contracts and how to do this. So I'm like, okay, so all of that stuff the influencers talk about education, it's not there, right? But at eXp, it's a whole different story. We have education. I don't know if you want to share that or not, but I mean, we've got amazing education here, not just eXp, but in the Wolfpack itself. And I was like, okay, that's what I need. That's what I need to be able to offer agents that want to partner with me, is that level of education.
You know, there's some stuff to unpack here before we talk about eXp, which is when we're having these discussions, we're looking at this from an agent's perspective to say, how can you get compensated as much as humanly possible for the effort you're putting into your business? Because, you know, some people might hear you talk about revenue share and kind of lean into that. But if you're going to be at one of these brokerages with revenue share, you want to get as much as possible. And if you're going to be at one of these brokerages with training, you want the best as possible. So when we start looking at this, we want to give clarity to what the opportunities actually provide. And I think looking at some of these false hopes, as you're alluding to, is that it's not always greener where everybody's telling you to go, because they're incentivized to tell you to go there. And that's also been, you know, one of my maybe dislikes about some of the brokerages like LPT and Real Broker, is that unlike them, eXp doesn't pay people to go there. Right. So when you look at a lot of the big influencers that have joined Real, that have joined LPT, they've been stroked a check or given stock options to say, hey, come over here, we're paying you 6 figures. Well, if I was paid 6 figures to go there and you're not, but I'm convincing you to go there because I'm financially incentivized, that to me is not morally okay. That is biased, that is unfair, and it is selfish. So I think not many people realize that the majority of the top agents at both brokerages were paid to go there. And that's why their financials are atrocious, because they were writing checks. Whereas at eXp, I know people that have brokerages of 900 plus agents that have rolled their whole brokerage over here and weren't given a penny. And so people are coming here for the model itself. We're not having to pay people. And that means the value is so high, we don't have to pay people, because if the value is high enough, that's what we saw with Compass, right? Why did so many top producers go to Compass? Because they were paid to go there. Well, what happened after the 3-year contracts ended? They left because the payment did not equal the value. And the value is what we want to talk about. So, you know, talking about this next phase, and we'll get into the training, but, you know, you decided to then come back to eXp. And I think it's also important to say that you weren't initially under our group. You decided to look at different options, because not everybody is in the organization that they feel is the best fit for them. So maybe guide us through that next trajectory, the final stop on your walkabout, as to why come back here, and specifically why the Wolfpack.
Sure. So one of the things I said at the beginning of this video is, as parents, as we get older, we see what our children are going to go through, and we don't want them to. So we want to give wisdom, but not always do children heed that advice. And sometimes they have to do what they're going to do, and it's up to us to pick up the pieces, right? Because we love our kids. That's kind of what happened to me. It's almost like I was forced on this journey, again, through misinformation, through a vaporous mindset that I was looking for something, right? I think about that YouTube song, "Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For." That's what I did back then. I was like, oh my God, I just got to, it's better. And so I went on my walkabout. Well, now I've turned the corner, and I'm literally now looking into my future, and I'm trying to think, what is my best option to build what I want to build, to impact agents, because I impact agents. I have, like you, I get agents all month on my calendar that are struggling. And like you, I want to provide value, and my value is free. I don't charge for coaching. I don't charge for any of that. I have a soft spot in my heart for any agent that really wants to make it. I don't have a soft spot for agents that want me to do it for them. I cut them off right away. I'm sorry. Let's just be real. So here I am. I'm like, what's my business supposed to look like? And some other things happen at LPT. That will be for another video. And I started thinking about eXp again. And I remember the day I had that thought, I'm like, oh, heck no. Not because I thought eXp was bad, but I'm like, what a friggin' hypocrite.
Yeah.
Me. What is this gonna look like? It's like you get divorced, you go marry somebody else, then you go marry somebody else, and then you go back to the original wife saying, hey, let's get married again, right? It's like, oh my God, am I really thinking like this? So I remember I had about a week of writing down on my punch out board, what is this going to look like? And I started writing down some things that I wanted to happen in my personal business. And the first thing that I did was, I no longer want to make an emotional decision. I'm not coming back to eXp because I think that, I'm going to drink the Kool-Aid, rah, 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 kick him in the knee. Oh my God, eXp, we're the best thing. I'm going to use eXp to achieve my goals. And to do that, I am now going to make sure I partner with the right sponsor. And you've got a video that's amazing on your channel about the value of picking the right sponsorship. I've actually had agents call me, Mike, and you and I haven't talked about this. I've only been back at eXp for a little less than 4 weeks. I've had agents already call me wanting to know, I'm not happy with the sponsorship I have. What do I need to do? And I try to really encourage them to just stay where they're at and take advantage of, but I have agents saying, I'm going to leave and come back in 6 months underneath you, right? I'm not actively asking anybody to do that, but the agents are out there having these same conundrums. So now I'm in a position where I can actually positively affect agents who are maybe mentally where I was 2 years ago. And so now I'm looking at coming back to eXp, and I've made a list of, and I'm not going to tell you other than Mike who they were, but 4 of the top influencers at eXp. And I literally got on a Zoom with all of them. Yeah. This time I was interviewing you. You weren't interviewing me. I was interviewing the influencers. Like, what is this person going to do to help me gain the model that I have right now, to help me crush it? And so I remember the other 3 that I looked at and talked with, phenomenal groups. However, they were focused in on one thing, each of them primarily, right? Which meant if I partner with them, that's the only dog in the hunt. Well, I wanted multiple dogs because I know not every agent wants to do just one thing. And if I have a buffet of marketing choices and strategies and trainings and teachings, it's going to help me impact even more agents, because some agents, Mike, don't want to do Facebook ads or Google ads. Yeah. Some don't want to do YouTube channels. Bunch of agents don't give a rip about TikTok, but there are some that want TikTok. There are, right? So I remember when I sat down and talked with you, it was like this kindred spirit thing. Like, I could partner with that guy because a lot of what you've done at scale is what I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. So pardon me for saying this. I told you this privately, now I'm going to say it publicly. I'm going to use you for everything I can get out of you. I'm going to squeeze you dry to help me become a micro Mike Sherrard, because you've done it. You've built the system. So when I saw what you offer agents, Mike, I was getting ready to drop 50 grand to create what you have. because a lot of what you teach and train on, I teach and train on my YouTube channel.
Yep.
And I was going to do, like, I was literally set up to start doing what you did with your agent academy and your school. But I don't have to now. I can take my trainings, the things that I do that might be a little different than you, add that to your collection. And now I have a unique selling proposition for any agent that wants to come in and crush it.
Mm-hmm.
So I go back to the power of partnership. If you guys are looking to take a different direction with your business, it's all about who you partner with. Remember earlier I talked about if you want to soar with the eagles? Well, I found me an eagle. And that eagle is up a lot higher than I am right now. But guess what? My eyeball is on Mike Sherrard. My eyeball is on that prize. And I am, by power of partnership and association, I'm going to be there. And I'm going to take as many agents as I can now. And I'm going to do it without misinformation. I'm going to do it without the rah kicking in the knee and trying to put out these provocative videos. It's going to be statistical, probable, real life stories. And I think that at the end of the day, Mike, is a completion of my journey. I went from there to the stuff to come back to realize that what I left was probably one of the most powerful companies in the world. Guys, we talk about education. I used to joke that, Mike, I remember I put videos out, which I'm absolutely horrified now, about how that stupid cloud thing that eXp, oh my God, all they do is they have these little things that dance and it's the biggest bunch. Can I tell you that now my perspective is that stuff is amazing because you get to go and sit live with other agents to be trained at a high level. Yeah. You have 50 hours of education a week you don't get anywhere else. You don't get it at the other two brokers I was with. Then when you partner with a Mike Sherrard and a Kelly Wheeler, now you have access to 5+ unique Zoom calls a week. You've got access to his social media academy. Guys, you can go buy that academy right now for $1,000. It will change your life. It's the best $1,000 you ever spent. Or you can partner with us and let us help you plug in and start to formulate and plan how you want your business to look. So that was the completion of my story. I came back without the misconceptions of erroneous thinking. I came back after interviewing you, realizing that there's a kindred partnership there and there was a like mind. And you, my friend, you literally, it's like if you ever go to the ocean and the waves are really big, you want to get behind somebody and let them break the waves.
Yeah.
You friggin' broke the waves for me, brother. You've made this thing so easy for me that when I look at my vision board, I told you the other day, you got your what is that car you have?
The Lamborghini Urus.
Well, my dream car is going to be that Ford Raptor.
Yeah.
I'm going to pay cash for that thing. You watch, we have this conversation somewhere on the stage within 2 years. I will have my Raptor cash. I will have my sort of dream home. I don't know if it'll be a $3 or $4 million home like you just bought, but I have my eyes set on a dream home for my wife, right? I'm going to achieve these goals. Why? Because I've partnered with the right stream. People that literally, man, the last 4 weeks, looking at the interactions within our group, people that literally are going to go somewhere. And you, my friend, have got story after story of agents that actually did it and have blown this thing away. That's my story, guys. I've made that loop back to eXp. And now this time, without the misconceptions or the erroneous thinking, guys, we're gonna change and impact so many agents' lives, agents that are literally ready to scale. And if you are wanting to get rid of those misconceptions, we should talk. So that's my journey, Mike.
I love it, man. I think, and I appreciate all the kind words. There's so many things to just touch on there. Growing up, my mom always said, it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. And, when you look at the brokerages, it's not just where you go, it's who you join and who you partner with. Because, as you're talking about, yeah, you can go buy people's trainings and stuff like that, but the information is not novel. The application of it, the implementation of it, the accountability, the community is what is novel. And that's why you see people that will go buy people's programs and not succeed, or you'll see the Sumins and the Kellys that are going and doing massive production because we're able to sit down and say, okay, your market, your goals, where are we starting, what are we doing, and how are we going to get there specific to you? And being able to build that community, it's the concept that, you talked about the waves, rising tides lifts all ships. When you're the only one that's trying to either leverage YouTube or leverage this or do that or achieve this, well, it's pretty difficult to do that because you're the only one doing it, right? Whereas when you're surrounded by hundreds of people a day on a Zoom call that are all doing it, you're going to get your stuff together and get back on the saddle when you don't feel like doing it. And I think the power is in the community and the alignment of the like-mindedness. So I think it's so powerful that, you've had these experiences with a different group at eXp. You've been able to go to Real, you've been able to go to LPT, you've been able to come back to eXp under a group of your choice that is in alignment with you where you're looking to go. And I think that's the most important message for people is, join people who've done what you're looking to do and have created the systems that shorten the learning curve. Because just like you made your decision to partner with me, that was my deciding factor to join my sponsor, which was who did what I want to do and who has systems in place that will allow me to not have to spend 100 or 1,000 hours creating it myself. I could just plug into it from day one. And now you're able to go straight to the path that's proven for growth. So I think it's incredible, man.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I'm looking forward to this next chapter. I don't think that I closed one book and I'm creating another. I think this book is still being written. And I think, and at the end of the day, I've been thinking about this a lot. I think my story is really the story of thousands of agents. And I think that those agents are in that walkabout mode right now. And if you are that agent, man, I have compassion on you. Because I know that when the lights finally switch, when you actually see the light at the end of the tunnel, man, there is such a stress and such a depression, if you will, that will get lifted from you. Like I feel like a preacher right now, right? Hey, glory, right now. I'm telling you guys, when you get that mental acuity, you get that clarity, and you finally partner with whoever is that right partner. It might be us, it might be somebody else, but when you find that right partner, then your business is absolutely going to go to a level, we talk about 10x. I'm looking at 100x.
Yeah.
Right. And so Mike, I'll say this, the story is not over yet. We've got a lot more to write. And over the next couple months on my YouTube channel, and I know on yours, we are going to correct some things in a very positive way to help agents realize that they need to look at their opportunities with a more fine-toothed comb. They need to look at it and how it's going to benefit them or hurt them. And I really am looking forward to doing these because, like I said, at the end of the day, I want to help agents not go through what I just went through, if possible, and make the right decisions because those right decisions can affect you both mentally and financially. And I'll end with this. I still go back to, and I know you think I'm being silly about this, but literally when I saw that video of you, because I get your email every couple of days about your new videos, trust me. When you were talking about your why, and you mentioned your sister, dude, I'm literally, it's like I'm drinking my coffee at 9:30 in the morning, watching a little bit of that video, and I'm literally, a tear is coming down because at the end of the day, we have to have the ability to achieve our why. Mm-hmm. When you shared that with me, it was like, okay, here's my why. Now, how am I going to get there? Yeah. How am I going to get there? And I feel like I'm in that right stream now. I feel like I'm in the rapids of where I need to be, and it's going to progress me along. So that's it. That's my story. And I know it's a lot of other agent stories. And I just, again, want to tell you, Mike, thank you for what you've done. I know you have been beat up on socially. I know you've had people threaten you. I know you've had agents talk smack about you. But at the end of the day, you do what you do with the same compassion I have to change agents' lives.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that, man, because as you said, that's why I'm here. I'm in the same position as you. I could stop working tomorrow. I still outwork every person in my group, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, when I'm not enjoying that car. I'm not enjoying this house. I'm in my office, putting in work, trying to lead by example and over deliver on value to change people's lives and partner with you and myself so that we can help you achieve your goals. And at the end of the day, I've said this before, my goal is also to help 1,000 agents make $1 million. And we've been able to add multiple names to that list every single year. And you deserve to be a 7-figure agent, not just for yourself, but your family and for everybody who's believed in you from the start of your journey. You're doing a disservice to yourself by not making 7 figures, but you need to partner with people who've done it time and time again. So guys, thank you so much for listening to this. Again, a couple things as we wrap up here. Number one, as I mentioned in the introduction, go check out Kelly's incredible channel, as well as the playlist that I've got linked below, because it will give you even more clarity and depth, maybe on the more kind of numeric side and tactical side that what we talked about today, which is more experience and story based. And also make sure if you'd like to chat more about any of these brokerages, feel free to book a call with either of us and we will be glad to help you. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Again, Kelly, thank you so much, brother. And guys, We'll see you on the next video.